Alright guys, so we're going to solve by factoring. Now understand this lesson is not going to be about factoring itself. I covered that in 6 other videos, so I'm just going to get to the factoring part and show you what to do once you get there. So again, I'm not going to show you how to factor in this video. I did that in 6 previous videos. It's just going to be on how do you solve once you get to the factoring part. So looking at number 1 here, when I got x squared minus x minus 6, so it's a typical trinomial. When I factor this, I get x minus 3 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. So the thing is, all right, now it's factored, how do I actually solve it? So the only thing that you need to do is you just take each individual factor and set it equal to 0 and solve. So that gives me the x minus 3 equals 0 and the x plus 2 equals 0. So now these are one-step equations to solve. So I add 3, and I get x is equal to 3 on this side. Subtract 2, and I get x is equal to 2 on this side. So I have 3 for the answer. Try that again. And then I have x equals 2 as well. So x equals 3 and x equals 2 for the first one. Looking at number 2, for factoring, I only have 2 terms. It's not the difference of squares or difference of cubes. It's basically just a common factor. So I would take out a 3x, and that would leave me with 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So now I can go ahead and solve this. I'm going to set both of these factors equal to 0. Now I'm going to set the 3x equal to 0 and solve it because it has a variable in it. If my common factor, if this common factor right here was only a number, then I wouldn't need to set it equal to 0 and solve for it. It's not going to give me another solution. But because it has a variable, I also have to set that equal to 0 and solve. So I get 3x is equal to 0, and then 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So here, hopefully you can see, even if you divide by 3, you're just going to get 0. So x is going to be 0 on this side. And then here I'm going to add 1. So 2x is equal to 1, divide by 2. So I get x is equal to 1/2. So for these two, I have x equals 0 and x equals 1/2. Just draw a line down here so that kind of separate those. So now let's look at number 3. Draw a line here again. So x to the 4th minus 3x squared plus 2 equals 0. So this is a trinomial. It's in quadratic form. Just has to the 4th power. So when I do factor this, I wind up with x squared minus 2 times x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. So now you have options here. I can actually set these both equal to 0 and solve from here using square roots. Or this right here is the difference of squares. You could factor that again if you wanted to. It's totally up to you. It doesn't make a difference. It's going to work either way. I'm just going to go ahead and solve from here because I'm already ready to go. So I'm just going to take this. So x squared minus 2 is equal to 0. And then x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Well, how do we solve using square roots? We did that in a previous video. I'm going to isolate the square term. So I'm going to add 2 here. So I get x squared is equal to 2. And then we have to take the square root of both sides, which means that I have to add a plus or minus. So this gives me x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. 2 solutions, positive square root of 2 and negative square root of 2. And then here I'm going to add 1. So I get x squared is equal to 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. So I get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1, which we know is 1. So plus or minus 1. So that gives me another 2 solutions, positive 1 and negative 1. So again, here I have my degree is 4, and I have 4 solutions. I have positive square root of 2, negative square root of 2, positive 1, and negative 1. And then, of course, this has a square root of, has an exponent of 2, and I have 2 solutions, and so on with number 1. So hopefully this helps you solve quadratics by factoring. And I know number 3 is not a quadratic, but I just wanted to show you how you can solve by factoring with that, even though it's not a quadratic. And then the next video, I'm going to show you how to solve using the quadratic formula.